Victory Monday, Broncos Country. It's been a long time since Broncos fans have gotten a Victory Monday, but after knocking off the Chicago Bears 31-28, erasing a 21-point deficit, their largest since that Chargers game back in 2020 when they were down 28 to 24 to 3, something like that. Well, Broncos fans finally can enjoy some actual football on Sunday. It wasn't all pretty. The Bears dominated for about a third or maybe three-fourths of the game, but ultimately the Broncos got the plays when they mattered most in the fourth quarter. So if you enjoyed the win, get those W's in the comments. Spam W down below for the Broncos picking up their first win of the 2023 season. Their first win since not too long ago. They won in Week 18 against the Chargers. Their first road win since I don't even remember because I don't count that Jags game in London as a true road game. So it's been a long time since Denver has enjoyed a victory on the road. So spam W down below in the comment section. I hate to be that guy, but I'm going to be that guy. Victory Monday is the best. No doubt about it. Don't let me ruin your Monday. Do not let me ruin your Victory Monday. Walk around with a big chest at your office, at your school, wherever. Enjoy today. But the Broncos, the players themselves, they better not get fat, content, and comfortable and okay with where they're at because they were losing to the Chicago Bears, the worst team in football, 21-28-7 at one point late in the third quarter. So they better come into practice this week feeling like they lost 28-7 because if the Bears do not find new ways to lose football games, Denver would have lost that game. No doubt about it. But because they played the only team that was worse than them in the NFL, the Chicago Bears and maybe the Carolina Panthers, they were able to come away with a very, very slim 3-point victory. But the Bears offense, it dominated against Denver. Sure, the Broncos defense made plays in the fourth quarter, no doubt about that. But I'm not going to let a Kareem Jackson interception and a Nick Bonito and Jonathan Cooper collab on a scoop and score erase what was a awful day for Vance Joseph's defense up until that point. 471 total yards of offense allowed. I guess that's an improvement from the 700 plus they gave up against the Dolphins the week before, but Justin Fields, 300 total passing yards, 171 yards on the ground. Those two turnovers were clutch, no doubt about it, but you made Justin Fields, who was awful the first 3 weeks of the season, and ask anyone at Justin Fields in fantasy football about this, look at his numbers. The first 3 weeks compared to what he did in week 4 against the Broncos defense look really, really good. That's not a good thing. It's not a good thing when one of, if not the worst statistical quarterback through the first 3 weeks of the season, who had 3 touchdowns and 4 interceptions and a combined rating of 67.7, a completion percentage of 57.9, come out there and flip the script. Complete 80% of his passes, throw for 335 yards, 4 touchdowns, and 1 interception. That is an indictment on Vance Joseph's defense. Credit to Nick Bonito and Jonathan Cooper for making a huge play in the fourth quarter. That is awesome, and there's no doubt about that being a game-changing play, but I'm not going to let a good fourth quarter against one of the worst run teams right now in the NFL, the Chicago Bears, make me feel like the Broncos are right where they need to be. And everything's okay. Everything's hunky-dory. No. I'm not going to forget about the first 3 quarters and just act like Denver is ready to roll moving forward and all their issues are solved defensively. Now, speaking of the defense, I do want to share this nice little tweet I saw involving Zach Allen, who said he had high praises for Nick Bonito, said he hasn't had a teammate like that since he played with Hassan Reddick in Arizona. He's really an elite rusher with all the athletic ability. George Payton has had a tough job as a GM lately, like the Russell Wilson trade, the Russell Wilson extension, the Randy Gregory contract. It has not been great for George, but the Nick Bonito was another potential mispick and another thing in the negative column, the cons for George Payton. But it looks like the second-year player out of OU is starting to really turn things around, and that's awesome to see, especially with the Frank Clark injury, Baron Browning being out still. Really good to see Bonito step up in their spots. Now, other stuff here I wanted to share from the team's press conference over Zoom on Monday. The team reporter, Chris Thomason, or a team reporter, Zach Allen on Vance Joseph's defense. Everybody can say what the hell they want to say, but at the end of the day, they're not in the arena. So I love him. I think we're going to be fine. We're going to do great things. It's still early, but we're going to turn it around. I don't disagree with anything Zach has to say there. He's right. You and I are not in that locker room. We don't know what Vance Joseph is truly like as an educator, a mentor, as a leader, as a coach, because he's never been one of those things for us. But unfortunately, being really good at those things, but not producing on the field, is not going to get you in the NFL for very long. At some point, you need results. You get some leeway, you get some extra long leash if you're really good at being an awesome guy and a great leader and a great coach and all that good stuff. But if you're not getting results, the fans are going to take over. And the fans are going to have a fair point to make when they want changes, because I don't want a defensive coordinator who's an awesome motivator and a really good motivational speaker if the team is giving up 28 points to the Chicago Bears. Like, that's just not going to cut it for me 4 weeks into the season. So, Zach Allen, you're right. If you want to love him, VJ, by all means, you should be able to. He's your coach. You're in the arena with him. But from an outsider's perspective, when all we really have to look at are the numbers aren't good, and they need to change. Now, I am going to give Denver some credit here, as I've been a bit of a rain cloud on Victory Monday for them. Learning to win is a very good step for this team, because they have not won in a long time. I'm talking consistently winning, not having one-off wins against the Cowboys in Dallas, or knocking off the Texans at home, or Jimmy Garoppolo running out of the back of the end zone. No. But beating a winless team, okay, that's a step. You had to take that first step. You had to start winning somewhere, and if the schedule says you play the winless Chicago Bears this week, well, you play your schedule, which means you hopefully go out and beat the Chicago Bears. But now, let's see them beat a winning team, right? Let's see them take down the Chiefs. The Chargers, well, I guess they did beat the Chargers, but the Chargers in a meaningful game for both sides. Let's see them beat a real team that comes into Denver thinking they've got this one gift wrap and they've got an easy W because they're playing the Broncos, and Denver comes out, punches them in the mouth, and surprises them. And then they do that consistently. Not every single week. I'm not asking for 17-0, but I'm asking for a win streak. Can we get a win streak going here? That's more than one game. Now, today's show is being supported by Prize Picks. Prize Picks is a daily fantasy sports app where all you have to do is pick more or less for 2 to 6 player stat projections, and you can win up to 25 times your money on any entry. Prize Picks is super simple and user-friendly. I spend 1 to 2 minutes on the app every Sunday morning making my selections. So if you're in the Oval Office or you're on your way to the game, get on Prize Picks and start making some money. Now, for Monday Night Football, here are my 3 selections. I'm going with less on Daniel Jones passing yards at 230. I just don't think Daniel Jones is any good, and Seattle's got a pretty good defense. I'll take more on Kenneth Walker at 67.5 rushing yards. And I'll also take the more on Graham Gano for 1.5 field goals. If you want to live on the wild side, take more or less on a kicker's field goals. You will watch the game a whole different way when you get involved with kicking selections. So go to prizepicks.com/CLNS and use code CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100. The link for that is in the comments and description of today's video. Prize Picks. Daily fantasy sports made easy. Switching gears, let's talk about Russell Wilson here, because Russell Wilson deserves more credit than I think he's being given. He has played extremely well through the first 4 weeks of the season. It's not all been roses for him. He had the bad fumble against the Commanders. He had a tough day in Miami. But when you just look at the numbers, he's outplaying a lot of quarterbacks. If you do a blind QB resume, Russell Wilson against even Patrick Mahomes, I'm willing to wager, you're going to be surprised at who comes out on top. So I think the issue, or maybe not the issue, the opposite of the issue, the reasoning for this is Russ is less in the national spotlight. Like, unfortunately for Russ, new QBs have come in. He's not the new guy on the block anymore or anywhere close to that. And you've got guys like Jalen Hurts and Tua and Justin Herbert commanding more eyeballs and more attention and more words being filled on sports talk radio talking about those guys rather than Russell Wilson anymore. And so, while he's not getting a lot of attention, maybe that's a good thing for Russ. I know Russ is a little bit of a me guy at times. He's got a huge entourage. He loves the Russell Wilson empire, if you will, right? But he's quietly put up some strong numbers with not a lot of people talking about him. So maybe that's a good key to success for number 3. Now, I want to talk about Javonte Williams here because unfortunately, Denver's win did come at a little bit of a price. Williams left the game with a hip injury. He did not return. Adam Schefter said that Williams suffered a hip flexor injury and is not expected to miss much time. So Williams is undergoing an MRI today in Denver. Fingers crossed that MRI comes out whistle clean. My guess is it is because I haven't heard the contrary yet. But with no Javonte Williams in the lineup, at least for this past Sunday, and maybe another week or so, there was some optimism that he could miss 0 games altogether. I think regardless, we're going to see more of Jaleel McLaughlin, who balled out in Williams' spot, right? Went over 100 yards from the line of scrimmage. He averaged 10.2 yards a carry, had the first touchdown of the game. He talked about how he's been needing to be more patient in the screen game. He was a little bit more patient against the Bears, and off he went for a touchdown to start the scoring. Now, Javonte Williams, through the first 4 weeks, hasn't been good. It has not been good. And I think he gets an extra long leash because he is coming off such a gruesome knee injury. So I'm going to continue to even give him a little bit more slack. But the reality is he hasn't gone above 52 yards a game. He's only averaged over 4 yards a carry once this season. I would not be surprised whatsoever if you see Jaleel McLaughlin command more carries in week 5 because Javonte Williams is not 100% and he goes off for another 100-yard performance, and Denver just never really goes back to Javonte Williams the way they thought they would, right? If McLaughlin continues to play really, really well, why go back to Javonte? It's not like it has been working with him so far, and I know we all want it to work because he was such a fun pick coming out of UNC, and he had some great moments his rookie season, and he had such a tremendous comeback story after that horrible knee injury in Las Vegas. But we are here in week 3, or in week 4 or week 5 now, in year 3 for Javonte Williams, and it's been a while since he has produced some real numbers. So if Jaleel McLaughlin goes out there and puts up big numbers, I don't see why this coaching staff would go away from the hot hand if Javonte has not shown us any reason to believe he's going to put up similar numbers. Now, here's what McLaughlin said when speaking to the media today. First, my prayers to Javonte. He's such a great player and someone to learn from, and Samaje. They are great players and great leaders. The team is in good hands with all 3 of us. When my time comes, I will be ready for it. The UDFA running back goes over 100 yards from the line of scrimmage, and he speaks to the media the next day when he does not get a lot of spotlights or a lot of attention, and he talks about his teammates. He talks about his offensive line is who all the credit should be going to. He talks about the other running backs in the room helping him and coaching him and mentoring him. The guy's a UDFA running back. UDFA's making the roster, very slim chance. UDFA's going very far at all in the NFL, slimmer chance. UDFA's going off for 100 yards, next to none. And he defied and beat all those odds, and he was still he's still talking about his teammates and not himself. So pick a running back for me, Jaleel McLaughlin or Javonte Williams. Who would you rather have start the next game for Denver? Type 38 for Jaleel, type 33 for Javonte. I think when you look at Williams' numbers throughout his career, he just has not shown us enough. And again, it's a touchy subject because of the injury he suffered and the road to comeback he had to get back on the field so quickly. But at a certain point, it is the NFL, right? This is a results-based league. And if Jaleel's going to give results better than Javonte, why would we be surprised if this team stuck with the hot hand? So before we get on out of here, speaking of the hot hand, it is Jets week. The drama-filled week we have been waiting for since Sean Payton came for Nathaniel Hackett's throat in the preseason. It's here, baby. So Zach Wilson played pretty well against the Chiefs. He played his best, actually, of his career against the Chiefs on Sunday Night Football. And now, like all of you watching, I cannot wait for this game.